Heartwarming mistake, single mom's flirty text to billionaire reveals unexpected love in minutes. On a bustling Friday evening, with the hum of espresso machines and the scent of rich coffee wafting through the air, Sarah wiped the sweat from her brow. It was a long shift at Billionaire, the coffee shop that had become her second home, and the warmth of the cafe contrasted with the chill in her heart. She poured her passion into every cup, serving each customer with a smile, even as her thoughts drifted to her spirited daughter, Lily, waiting at home. As she raced through orders, juggling steaming mugs and baked treats, she sent a light-hearted text to her best friend, thinking it would bring a smile. But in a slip of the fingers, that playful message landed on an unfamiliar number. Seconds later, her phone buzzed like a firework going off in her pocket. "This isn't Ashley, but I sure appreciated the tease." "Who's this?" came the cheeky reply from Eric, a rich stranger just beginning his journey in the city. He was a billionaire looking to shake off the diamond dust of his life, desperately seeking authenticity in an often fake world. Sarah's laughter bubbled out, surprising even herself. In a sea of mundane shifts and exhausted nights, here was a connection that sparked something inside her, a warmth she had forgotten. Their banter flowed effortlessly, each text a delightful reveal of personality and humor. "You know what your mistake was? You totally should have sent a flirty emoji," Eric quipped, making her cheeks flush with spontaneity. But beneath that joy, a tender truth loomed heavy. Sarah was a single mother, bearing the weight of life's unpredictability. She had long shelved her dreams, angels and ambitions fading into the background. Juggling long hours and community obligations, she often felt her hope flickering. But Eric? He reminded her what it felt like to awaken desires she thought she'd locked away forever. As they exchanged texts over the following days, a bond blossomed, full of laughter and dreams dancing beneath the surface. But doubt clouded her heart like a storm rolling in. Could someone like him ever understand a life of juggling work shifts and sing-alongs with Lily at the dinner table? The whispers of her friends, encouraging yet cautious, echoed in her mind. "Are you sure you can handle the expectations? Look at his world, Sarah." Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Just as she was contemplating the leap of opening her heart, a flurry of misunderstandings shattered their connection. A hasty text from Sarah, intended as a joke about wealth and privilege, now twisted into tension, leading to silence from Eric. In the stillness, Sarah curled up in her favorite armchair, the weight of her choices pulling her under. Tears welled at the edge of her vision as she convinced herself that a life of struggle was the best gift she could give Lily. But the universe was ready to intertwine their fates once more. Their paths converged at a local charity event, a space buzzing with community spirit. As Sarah walked into the vibrant room, excitement and dread washed over her. Here stood Eric, facing her like two worlds colliding. A night of laughter, love, and heartache swirled around them. Could they bridge the gap of their differences? Or would they remain two ships passing in the night? As they moved closer to confront what had pulled them apart, the air crackled with tension. Would they seize the moment, or let it slip away forever, leaving hearts aching in the wake? Sarah's heart raced as she locked eyes with Eric, the familiar warmth from their earlier conversations flooding back. The vibrant room around them pulsated with chatter, laughter, and clinking glasses, but all that noise faded into a hum. The moment she saw him, confidence clashed with vulnerability, and 1,000 thoughts crashed through her mind. "Hey," she managed to say, her voice barely above a whisper. Eric's smile brightened, and for a brief second, the tension seemed to dissipate. "Sarah, there you are. I wasn't sure you'd actually come," he responded, his tone playful yet sincere. "Believe me, I debated it all the way here," she admitted, feeling a mix of relief and panic. This was the man who made her heart flutter with a simple message, yet now, facing him in person felt daunting. "What was it?" he asked with a playful glint in his eyes. "The thought of meeting a billionaire scared you off?" She chuckled, though her stomach twisted. "Maybe I just thought a billionaire was too good to be true. What's so intimidating about being honest?" he countered, leaning closer, his interest clearly piqued. "I mean, you have this incredible light about you." "Light?" "More like exhaustion," she said, trying to deflect. "Between working and raising Lily, I hardly have time to breathe," let alone Eric cut in, his voice softening. "You're doing something incredible, Sarah. I respect that." The sincerity in his voice almost made her believe him. But doubt seeped in again, heavy like a fog. What did he really know about her life? Raising a child alone, scraping by, tackling car troubles and school projects was groundwork he might never see. Before she could respond, a sharp laugh erupted from behind them. A group of well-dressed guests had gathered, their laughter echoing throughout the hall. Sarah glanced out, her insecurities bubbling up again. They were so polished, so put together. Compared to them, she felt like a stranger in her own skin. "Come on, just one dance with me," Eric urged, noticing her hesitation. "Let us forget the world for a minute." With a deep breath, she nodded, allowing him to lead her to the makeshift dance floor. As the music swelled, they began to move, their hearts racing in tandem. She could feel his presence surrounding her, both comforting and terrifying. The rhythm pulsed through them, and she surrendered to the moment, laughter breaking free as they stumbled over each other's feet. But as they swayed, Sarah caught a flicker of something in Eric's expression, a moment of truth hovering just beneath the surface. "What's really going on with you, Sarah?" he asked, his voice low and earnest, cutting through the music. The urgency in his question struck her like a lightning bolt. Could she trust him? Could he handle the truth, or was she setting them both up for failure? It's complicated," she stammered, uncertainty flooding her again. "Complicated doesn't scare me," he replied, taking a step closer, his eyes piercing into hers. The music faded, replaced by the sound of her heartbeat thrumming in her ears. Would sharing her true self push him away, or would it finally lay the groundwork for what could be? As she opened her mouth to speak, the room fell silent, and all eyes turned toward them. Breath held, Sarah had a decision to make. Would she tell him the truth, risking everything she'd built for herself and Lily? Or would she pull back, retreating into the safety of her guarded heart, leaving the connection unresolved? The moment felt monumental, teetering on the edge of something beautiful yet frightening. And in that silence, Sarah knew she stood at a crossroads. What would she choose? The answer echoed in her mind, but the moment was slipping away, and she could feel the weight of the crowd's gaze. Would she take the leap? The weight of the room pressed against Sarah, amplifying the fluttering chaos in her chest. She swallowed hard, trying to grasp a sliver of courage. Eric's gaze didn't waver, full of promise and patient confidence. In that moment, he became her anchor, the noise around them fading away further. But just as she parted her lips to spill the truth, a high-pitched voice cut through the silence, shattering the bubble they had created. "Oh look! It's Mr. Big Shot with his date." A woman, clad in an electrifying red dress, stepped forward, her friends snickering behind her. The laughter echoed, sharp and merciless, as Sarah's cheeks flushed with embarrassment. Eric shifted, and she could see the irritation paint his face. "Haley, right?" he said, his voice steady but edged with warning. "Didn't he think you'd be the type to settle for someone like her?" The woman tossed her hair over her shoulder, continuing to bathe the moment in a blaze of judgment. "Wow. Real classy, Haley," Eric responded, his tone commanding. "I'd suggest you leave before I lose my temper." The tension crackled in the air, and Sarah felt a mixture of anger and hurt flood her veins. She wanted to disappear. Why had she come here? Why had she thought tonight would be any different? Facing Eric felt dizzying enough without this added scrutiny. "Come on, Eric," Haley continued, with a malicious glimmer in her eye. "You know you can do better. What about someone who can actually keep up with you? She probably can't even match your shoes." Eric bristled, stepping protectively in front of Sarah. "You don't know anything about her. She's more than you could ever comprehend. And guess what? It's none of your business." As the tension hung in the air, Sarah felt both comforted by Eric's defense and crushed under the weight of Haley's words. Was Eric really that different from the world he moved in? The glitzy parties, the clipped conversations about wealth and status, would they always snatch away her sense of belonging? "Let us go," she whispered, pulling away slightly. The truth felt heavier than ever, and she wasn't sure whether to experience the heartbeat of defeat or the thrill of defiance in this moment. "Sarah, wait," Eric called softly, but she couldn't meet his eyes. It felt safer to back away, to not risk being hurt. "Actually, I think I'll get some air," she said, forcing a smile that didn't reach her eyes, before she turned and walked away. The laughter faded, but the weight still pressed down on her. She slipped outside into the fresh night air, the cool breeze wrapping around her like a comforting embrace. But the calm didn't last long. "Sarah." Eric's voice broke through the night, softer yet urgent as he caught up with her. She turned, glancing over her shoulder, but the words she wanted to say crumbled in her throat. Instead, it was the vulnerability in his eyes that caught her off guard once again, pulling at her heartstrings. "Why did you leave?" he asked, breathless as if he had run a marathon just to reach her. "I didn't mean for her to upset you." "No, it's not that," she began, her voice trembling slightly. "It's just, I have a lot going on, and you don't know who I really am." "I want to know everything, Sarah," he replied, stepping closer. "I see you. The real you. Just give me a chance to prove it." Something in his gaze ignited a flicker of hope within her. But with her heart pounding wildly, she knew this was a crossroads unlike any other. If she shared the truth, everything could change or shatter completely. Could she find the strength to open up? Would Eric still want her if she let her walls fall? The questions weighed heavily, the world swirling around her once again. And behind them, the laughter and lights of the party faded into a distant memory. "Sarah, please," he pressed gently, as if sensing the turmoil inside her. In that moment, she knew they were both standing on the edge of something profound. Would she find the courage to reveal her heart? Sarah took a deep breath, feeling the chill of the night air fill her lungs. The world around them quieted, and in that moment, it felt like it was just the two of them, suspended in time. Eric's eyes bore into hers, searching, pleading. She could see the sincerity in his expression, that fierce determination to break down the walls she had built so high around herself. "What do you want to know?" she finally whispered, her voice barely above a murmur. The question hung in the air between them, and she felt a sudden rush of vulnerability sweep over her. Would her truth be enough to scare him away, to send him back to the glittering world of confidence and wealth? "Everything," he replied quickly, his tone gentle yet unwavering. "But we can start with the basics. Who is Sarah? Who are you when you're not drowning in the noise of others?" Sarah hesitated, the weight of his question clawing at her insides. Could she strip herself bare and reveal who she truly was? They were not just words, they represented years of hurt and concealment, injustices suffered in silence. She could feel the quiver in her voice as she finally spoke. "I'm a single mom," she confessed, looking down at her hands. "I work 2 jobs just to make ends meet. And I feel lost sometimes. I don't belong in places like that party." Her voice cracked, and she felt the sting of hot tears threatening to spill over. I don't know if I fit into your world, Eric. I'm just trying to survive. He listened, his expression softening as she shared parts of herself. You don't have to fit into any world but your own, he said, his words like a balm against her fears. I'm not looking for someone to impress. I want someone real. That's you. Whatever baggage you have, we can handle it together. His words wrapped around her like a warmth she had only dreamed of feeling. What if I'm not who you think I am? She whispered, the alliance of hope and doubt crashing in her heart. What if the truth I reveal pushes you away? I can handle that, he insisted, stepping even closer until the air between them felt electric. I won't walk away. I promise you that. A heartbeat passed as she took a small step forward, letting the truth unfurl from her chest. I have a son, she said, her voice trembling with the weight of honesty. His name is Danny, and he is 7. He is everything to me. I don't want to waste anyone's time, especially yours. For a split second, silence enveloped them. It felt heavy but cathartic, like the world was holding its breath. Eric's brow knitted together, searching Sarah's eyes. I want to meet him, he said finally, a slow smile creeping onto his face. That doesn't scare me. Her heart stuttered. You mean that? Absolutely, he replied, his resolve clear. That's part of who you are, and I want all of it. The good, the bad, and everything in between. As uncertainty faded slowly into a blossoming trust, Sarah felt the ice around her heart begin to thaw. She wasn't a princess meant to sit on a pedestal, she was a warrior who had fought every day for the life she had built. And maybe, just maybe, this could be the beginning of something beautiful. But just then, a familiar laugh echoed from the party, shattering the moment. Haley and her crew were spilling out, ready to mock anyone foolish enough to let their guard down. Sarah's breath hitched, panic clawing back to the surface. Are you ready? Eric asked, his determination unshakable. But as her heart raced once more, she asked one last question, desperately seeking clarity. Can we go back in there? Together? He nodded, resolve dancing in his eyes. Together, he confirmed, extending his hand toward her. As she took his hand, the crowd parting around them like waves parting for a ship, she knew they were stepping into uncharted waters. Would their connection hold amidst the chaos? In that moment of unity, Sarah felt both fear and hope intertwining, leaving her breathless. What awaited them in that storm of laughter and judgment? And could she really open herself up to this man, who stood steadfast against the world? The moment they stepped back into the party, the din enveloped them like a thick fog. Laughter erupted from every corner, blending with the clinking of glasses and the incessant hum of conversations. Sarah's heart raced, each beat thundering in her ears, and she could feel the weight of eyes upon them, especially Haley's. Just breathe, Eric said softly, glancing down at her as they entered the lively scene. His presence felt like an anchor. As they walked through the crowd, a mix of excitement and terror coursed through her veins. What if they? She started but was quickly interrupted. Trust me, Eric urged, reassuring her with a squeeze of his hand. We'll take it step by step. They weaved deeper into the crowd, and Sarah felt the gaze of judgmental eyes. Whispers floated past her as people began to notice Eric's presence beside her. Would they assume she was just another jewel in his collection of acquaintances? But she tightened her grip on his hand, reminding herself that tonight was about connection, not approval. Let us grab some drinks, he suggested, guiding her toward the bar. As they moved, Sarah couldn't help but notice how other partygoers looked at them, some with envy, others with curiosity. She wondered if they could sense the fragile joy that mingled in the air between her and Eric. Eric ordered 2 drinks, and as they waited, he turned to her with an earnest expression. When you said you feel lost, what do you want? What would make you feel found? Those words reached deep, piercing through her insecurities. I guess I want to feel valued. Like I matter, you know? Not just for the things I do, but for who I am. She bit her lip, letting the fear slip through. I've spent so much time worrying about everyone else. I want to be seen. And you are, he said softly, locking her gaze. Never doubt that. With drinks in hand, they found a quieter nook, separated from the clanging celebration. Sarah felt the warmth of his presence surround her, pushing back the chill of uncertainty. She could see something different in Eric as well, a challenge ignited by their honesty. Just then, laughter erupted from Haley and her friends, echoing near the entrance. Sarah's body tensed instinctively. She wasn't ready for a confrontation, not when the sweetness of this moment lingered. But Eric seemed unaware. He smiled and leaned closer, making her heart flutter. What do you say we show them how real connection feels? Are you sure? She asked, a flicker of doubt creeping in. Positive. His smile broadened, that confident warmth in his eyes cutting through her apprehension. Come on, we'll just be ourselves. With that, they stepped back into the party's spotlight, and Sarah couldn't help but notice the way Eric's laughter blended seamlessly with the crowd. He was commanding in a way that made people listen, and it filled her with an unfamiliar sense of pride. Haley spotted them first, her laughter coming to an abrupt halt. Look who it is, the Charity Case and her Prince Charming, she sneered, her eyes narrowing. But instead of shrinking back, Sarah felt a surge of defiance. That's right. This is Eric, and I'm not ashamed of who I am. The room fell silent, and for a moment, it was like they were blurred figures in a painting, suspended in uncertainty. Eric's hand found hers, an unspoken declaration of unity. There was no backing down now. Together, they could face whatever came at them. As they stood there, strength coursing through her, Sarah felt a flicker of hope ignite within her, a feeling she hadn't felt in a long time. But just as she began to smile, a sudden crash echoed from the other side of the room, drawing everyone's attention, including hers. What was that? Sarah's gut twisted with anxiety, but before she could process it all, she heard Eric's voice in her ear, steady and reassuring. Stay close. What awaited them with that sound, and could their newfound bond survive this unexpected turn? The crash echoed like thunder in Sarah's ears, a sharp jolt pulling her from the cocoon of warmth Eric had woven around them. Partygoers turned, curiosity mixed with concern painting their faces. Eric kept his grip firm around her hand, guiding her through the shifting crowd toward the source of the noise. What happened? Sarah asked, trying to peer over people's heads. I don't know. Let us see, Eric replied, his tone reassuring yet alert. They finally reached the edge of a small circle of guests who had gathered, all eyes focused on a table where a tray of drinks had toppled, shattering glass across the floor. A girl with auburn hair was crouched down, her face flushed in embarrassment as she apologized repeatedly. The whispers began again, darting through the crowd like quicksilver. Great, now everyone is going to remember this night for the wrong reasons, Sarah muttered, her heart thumping harder, not just from the earlier confrontation but now this scene that was growing more chaotic. Hey, mistakes happen. It's not the end of the world, Eric said softly, his thumb brushing gently over her knuckles. She smiled weakly, grateful for his calmness. But just as the tension began to dissipate, she felt Haley's presence loom over them again. Look at that mess, Haley sneered, her voice dripping with mock sympathy. First, the Charity Case, and now the clumsy girl making an even bigger fool of herself. Something snapped inside Sarah. She took a step forward, ready to fire back, but Eric put a gentle hand on her shoulder, grounding her. Sarah, he said firmly, meeting her gaze, we don't have to engage in this. He was right. She didn't want to waste any more energy on Haley. With a deep breath, she turned her attention back to the girl on the floor, who was still trying to gather herself amidst the broken glass and spilled drinks. You okay? Sarah asked, kneeling beside her. The girl looked up, surprise flickering in her blue eyes. Yeah, I'm really sorry, she stammered, still flustered. Don't worry about it. It happens, Sarah encouraged. Let us just clean it up. The girl nodded, relief washing over her. Together, they started picking up the shards, and Sarah felt an unexpected rush of empowerment as she helped someone else instead of battling her own fears or Haley's words. Thanks, the girl said gratefully. I really thought I'd ruin the whole party. I think a little spilled drink isn't going to ruin anything, Sarah replied with a smile, and for the first time, she felt the weight of the crowd's gaze shift away from judgment to support. As they cleared the table, she sensed Eric still by her side, silently rooting for her. The unity they had forged felt stronger, like a wall built block by block. But then, from the back of the group, someone yelled, "Everyone! Look who just walked in." The emphasis made Sarah's heart race again as she turned to see a tall figure striding through the entrance. The room split like a curtain revealing a dramatic scene. It was Evan, the billionaire whose name was synonymous with power and prestige. The air shifted, all eyes landed on him. What did his entrance mean for the night? Would he come to Eric's side, or would he stand with Haley's crowd? Sarah felt her resolve falter. The stakes were high, and the sense of solidarity she had just built could waver in an instant. Eric's fingers tightened around hers, as though sensing her anxiety. Together? He whispered, his gaze intense. Together, she replied, a new spark igniting in her chest. A new challenge lay ahead, one that could either solidify their bond or tear it apart. But standing beside Eric, Sarah felt ready to face it. All she needed now was the courage to keep moving forward. Could she hold on to this newfound strength when everything seemed to hang in the balance? Evan's entrance sent a ripple through the crowd, eyes widening, conversations halting, as if a hush fell over the vibrant party. It was as if the very air crackled with anticipation. Sarah's heartbeat quickened, the warmth from Eric's hand grounding her amid the uncertainty. She glanced up at him, seeking reassurance. "It'll be fine," he murmured, his voice steady even as his eyes darted toward Evan. Evan moved with effortless confidence, every step exuding the authority that made him a billionaire. But as he scanned the room, his gaze struck Sarah like a lightning bolt. For a split second, their eyes locked, and she felt exposed, but alive. Then he turned, his attention diverted by Haley, who was practically glowing as she stepped into his orbit. A surge of jealousy twisted in Sarah's stomach. Was this what wealth and power looked like? Her simple moments of kindness overshadowed by the bright lights of privilege. "Looks like he's not going to help us after all," she said with a nervous laugh, trying to deflect the sinking feeling. Eric squeezed her hand tighter. "He's not the only one who counts, remember?" The crowd began to shift as Evan approached Haley. A low murmur spread through the partygoers, their whispers laced with curiosity, with envy. Sarah could feel the collective gaze, that hunger for the drama they anticipated. "Do you think we should?" Sarah started, her voice barely above a whisper. But Eric cut her off. "No. Let us not play into this," he insisted, his head high and determination emanating from him. The girl they had helped earlier, what was her name? Had joined them, brushing her hair back nervously. "I can't believe he's here. This is so surreal," she said, her voice bubbling with excitement. "I've heard stories about him, but seeing him in person, wow." Sarah nodded, trying to focus on the girl rather than the spectacle unfolding. "Yeah, he has something." But Evan hadn't taken a single step toward them. Instead, his laughter boomed across the room, sending shivers down her spine. Haley leaned closer to him, playing her part in the scene perfectly, and Sarah's heart sank lower. "Why do we care about what they think?" Eric said, his breath warm against her ear. "Make your own moment, Sarah. Don't let them define your night." She took a deep breath, searching for her center again. "You're right. I don't want us to look foolish. You won't, trust me." As if sensing a shift, Evan glanced in their direction again. This time his gaze held a hint of curiosity, as if he recognized something about them. Or perhaps he was just looking at the mess from the drinks spilled earlier. Okay. The girl chimed in, attempting to break the tension. Let's dance, just for fun. Who needs all this drama? Her infectious enthusiasm lit a small spark inside Sarah. She opened her mouth to protest, to say they should just ignore Evan's presence, but Eric leaned closer, shaking his head. Simon. Just for a minute. As the music pulsed through the air, Sarah felt a quick flicker of happiness replace her worries. The dance floor was a world away from the whispers and judgments. She twirled, losing herself in the rhythm, the adrenaline melting her anxieties away. But just as she surrendered to the moment, a shadow drew closer, a figure breaking through the crowd. Sarah, wait. Evan's voice cut through the music, creating an undeniable energy that stilled her heart in its tracks. She turned, half anticipating a confrontation, half hoping for something else. But what lay behind those piercing eyes was still a mystery. Why was he calling her name? What did he want? As the music faded into the background, Sarah stood at the edge of a whirlwind, teetering between the thrill of possibility and the fear of confrontation. It was a moment that could change everything. Would she step forward or retreat? The night was far from over, and the stakes were rising. What awaited her on the other side of this unexpected call? Sarah felt her pulse race as Evan approached, each footfall echoing in the stillness around her. The laughter and chatter of the party faded into a distant hum, and all she could hear was the steady beat of her heart. She searched Evan's face for answers but found only the same enigmatic expression. Sarah, he said again, closing the distance. The air thickened with the tension between them, and she caught Eric's concerned look behind Evan. She half expected him to pull her away, but she felt frozen on the spot, torn by the pull of curiosity and the weight of the moment. Can we talk? Evan's voice was lower now, almost intimate, as if they were surrounded by more than just a crowded party. In private? A wave of panic surged through her. What could he possibly want that required secrecy? Eric tightened his grip, lost in the turmoil of emotions swirling around her. Maybe, she stammered, glancing at Eric, who was studying her with a serious expression. I don't know. Is this really the best time? Just a minute, Evan urged, his azure eyes holding her gaze with an intensity that sent goosebumps racing down her arms. She felt the pull, an unbearably familiar one that tugged at something deep inside her. Go, Eric said softly, as if reading her mind. It's up to you. Sarah hesitated. Part of her fought against the very idea of walking away with Evan, the billionaire who seemed so far removed from her life. But another part, a fragile, wild part, urged her to see where this could lead. I'll be right back, she said, more to reassure Eric than herself, the instant heat of shame flickering up her neck as she turned to follow Evan through the crowd. They weaved through the throng, passing clusters of partygoers, each too engrossed in their own worlds to notice what was happening. The dimmed lighting cast shadows over Evan's confident stride, making him seem even more imposing. When they finally stepped onto the balcony, the cool night air smoothed over Sarah's heated skin. She shivered, not entirely from the sudden chill, but from the anticipation buzzing in her veins. What is this about? She asked, crossing her arms defensively. I needed to see you, he said, leaning against the railing, his posture relaxed but his gaze sharp. You surprised me in there. Surprised you? Sarah echoed, unsure of where this was heading. You don't even know me. Maybe not, but I felt a connection. He paused, those blue eyes boring into hers, and something sparked in the air. It's rare, isn't it? To feel that way. What connection? She blurted out, the question spilling from her before she could halt it. Was this just flirting? Was he playing games? She couldn't afford to get swept away again. A spark. He stepped closer, the distance between them shrinking. I saw you with Eric, and I thought maybe I've underestimated you. You're not just another face in the crowd. His words wrapped around her, pulling her in deeper. She wanted to rebuff him, to deny the flicker of warmth igniting inside her. But his intensity compelled her. I don't know what you think you saw, she replied, her voice steadier than she felt. I'm not the kind of girl who gets involved with someone like you. Because I'm rich? He pressed, his jaw tightening. You think that's all I am? Can you even see past that? Sarah opened her mouth to respond but felt the words catch in her throat. Was this about wealth? Or was he reaching for something more? Just then, a burst of laughter emerged from inside the party. It pulled her attention momentarily, reminding her of the life waiting just beyond the balcony. Worries and realities crashed into her thoughts. How would this end? Suddenly, she felt vulnerable standing there, a single mother mixed up in billionaire drama. I have to go. Evan glanced at her with disappointment, but then something softened in his expression. What if we could start over? Just you and me? His words resonated in her mind. What was the harm in seeing where this could lead? But could she truly leap into the unknown again, knowing the risks? Silence enveloped them as tension filled the air, leaving Sarah gripping the railing, searching for clarity. The weight of his undeniable presence kept pushing her towards a decision she wasn't sure she was ready to make. Was this a chance at something spectacular, or just another heartbreak waiting to happen? As she wrestled with her thoughts, Evan's expectant eyes bore into hers, waiting for her answer. And just like that, everything hung in the balance, a choice lingering in the air. What would she decide? His eyes held her captive, an unexplored galaxy of emotions swirling within them. Sarah felt the weight of his stare, and with it, the unsettling realization that she was on the precipice of an entirely new world. The cool night air whipped around her, but all she could feel was the warmth radiating from Evan's body. Just tell me what you want, Evan, she finally said, the edge in her voice weaker than she intended. Her heart thundered in her chest, a quiet rebellion against her cautious nature. He took a breath, and for a fleeting moment, she saw something raw and honest in him. What I want? He echoed, as if tasting the words slowly. I want to know you. Not just this facade everyone wears, but the real you. The one I glimpsed tonight. A sharp laugh escaped her, both astonished and disbelieving. You don't know the real me, she shot back, frustration bubbling up. I'm a single mother. I have responsibilities. I can't just dive into whatever this is. Evan laughed softly, shaking his head. So many labels: mother, employee, friend. But what about you, Sarah? Forget about the roles for a second. Who are you at your core? The question hung between them, an invitation to peel back layers. Sarah hesitated. The truth was, she wasn't entirely sure. Life had pushed her into neat little boxes, and breaking free felt terrifying. What if this was just another fantasy that could lead to more pain? I'm just trying to get by, she admitted, managing to keep her voice steady. Every day is about doing what's right for my daughter. I get that, he replied, his eyes softening. But what about you? Don't you deserve a little happiness too? Those words struck a chord deep within her, a melody long forgotten. She felt vulnerable, exposed in this moment of truth. Just yesterday, she was nursing a broken heart, cautious and overthinking every decision. Now, here was Evan, pulling at threads of hope she thought had unraveled. Sarah took a step back, seeking space, both physical and emotional. Evan, I can't. This isn't fair to either of us. You have this world wealth, attention. And I. She faltered, unsure how to convey the stark contrast of their lives. He closed the space again, unwavering. You think that matters? Evan's voice dropped, laced with sincerity. I like what I see in you. Your strength, your independence. It's rare in a world where everyone wears a mask. Time slowed as the air tightened with unspoken desires and fears. Moments stretched, and for the first time, she didn't feel like a burden for wanting something more. But the shadows of doubt crept back in. What if you're just intrigued by the challenge? What if I get hurt again? Then it'll be on me if I fail, he said firmly, crossing his arms. But I'd rather take the risk than not try at all. I'm not just some guy looking for a fling. The crowd inside erupted with cheers, but here, it was quiet, a safe space carved just for them. Sarah's heart raced, realizing she felt as much liberation as fear. Beneath the weight of his gaze, something shifted, she sensed a chance beyond the ordinary. What do you want, Sarah? He pressed gently, the weight of his question filling the air with unbearable potential. Honestly? She breathed, her defenses cracking. Before she could gather her thoughts, her phone buzzed in her pocket, jolting her from the moment. She pulled it out hesitantly, expecting another mundane message from Eric or a reminder for her responsibilities. But it was a flirty text from an unknown number. Looking forward to our adventure, smiley face. Her heart sank. Where had this come from? The moment quaked with the impact of new revelations, pulling her attention from Evan. Who was the sender? And how would this impact what just began to blossom in front of her? Evan's expression shifted, aware of the distraction reshaping their moment. What was that? He asked, curiosity and caution intertwined in his features. Nothing, she whispered. But as her heart thudded louder, she sensed that nothing could stay truly hidden. Decisions loomed larger, and as she glanced back at Evan, both exhilaration and anxiety took root. Was this just the beginning of something incredible, or were they standing on the edge of a cliff? Could she jump into this new adventure with Evan, or would past mistakes haunt her once more? As uncertainty clawed at her mind, she felt the choice pressing down heavy, holding the weight of her future. Would she dare to unravel what was starting, or would she retreat, clinging to familiar fears? The moment hung thick in the air, teetering on the edge of possibility. Sarah looked at Evan, the flickering lights from the party behind them casting a soft glow on his face. The warmth of the night pressed on her skin, but it couldn't chase away the cold anxiety creeping in. She started, her voice faltering as she held her phone tighter. The unknown text felt like a ghost in her mind, pulling her focus from Evan's piercing gaze. I need to figure this out. Figure what out? Evan's brow furrowed, confusion lacing his tone. The urgency in his voice jolted her. She didn't want to run. She wanted to leap into something real. But the shadow of that unknown message haunted her, leaving her just shy of surrendering her heart. I don't know if I can do this, she confessed, pulling away slightly, trying to catch her breath. You don't know my world, the responsibilities, the struggles. Then let us make it simple, he offered, stepping closer again. Whatever this is, it starts with honesty for both of us. Don't let fear keep you from what could be amazing. His words felt like an invitation to freedom, and for a fleeting moment, she considered it. The barriers she had crafted around herself, built by every moment of worrying if she was enough, began to tremble. Just tell me about your life, Evan urged, his tone inviting yet serious. What does it look like day to day? I rise before the sun, she explained, feeling the weight of her routine simmer to the surface. I get Lily ready, take her to school, and then I'm juggling shifts at the cafe. By the time I get home, it's time to cook dinner and help her with homework. Some days, I don't even have time to breathe. I admire that, Evan said, no trace of pity in his voice. You're an extraordinary mom, and that's rare. A warmth spread through her at his acknowledgement. She hadn't expected that. With each word, she felt her heart cracking open a little more. But the thought of Evan seeing her life complicated the beauty of that moment. But what about you, Evan? She asked, her voice steadying as she leaned in. In your world, it's all glitz and glamour, right? It can be, he admitted, running a hand through his hair. But honestly, I'm tired of it. I want real connections. I want to wake up and feel alive, not just because the sun is shining outside but because I'm surrounded by people who see me for who I am, a person, not my bank account. The space between them expanded, filled with something unnameable and powerful. Even though they came from completely different worlds, that longing for authenticity pulled them together. Then, just as clarity began to dawn, Sarah's phone buzzed again. This time it was a message from the same number, causing her stomach to tighten with anxiety. "Don't forget what I promised, meet me tomorrow?" Panic spread through her veins at the prospect of what lay ahead, an entanglement of uncertainties. "What's wrong?" Evan's voice cut through her chaos, and she met his gaze, caught off guard by the concern she saw shining back at her. "Nothing," she lied, even as uncertainty swallowed her whole. I received a message." She didn't want to reveal her back and forth with the flirtatious stranger. Not now, when everything stood on the verge of something spectacular between her and Evan. But something in Evan's eyes told her that this wasn't the time to hide. He deserved her honesty too, the invitation into her world. "Okay, fine," Sarah breathed out, her heart racing. "It's just this guy who texted me after I gave him my number by mistake. I thought it was harmless fun, but now it's weighing on you," Evan finished for her, his brow slightly creased with understanding. "Yes," she confessed, feeling a blend of frustration and vulnerability as she touched her pocket where her phone lay. "I don't want to deal with that when this moment with you feels important. I'm scared I might ruin this." Evan stepped closer again, the heat of his presence igniting something sweet inside her. "You want tea? Just focus on what brought you here," he whispered. "For tonight, no distractions. Just you. And me." A deep breath steadied her. The pull of their connection felt almost tangible, and she wanted nothing more than to surrender to it. "Okay," she finally said, clearing the doubts from her mind like the fog of the first light of dawn. "Let's start fresh. Let's explore what this feels like." Evan's smile broadened, lighting up his face like sunshine breaking through clouds. "That's what I wanted to hear," he said softly, leaning closer until she could feel his breath on her skin. "Now, shall we go back inside?" he asked, the glimmer in his voice like the gentle tug of hope. "Yes, let's." As they turned to rejoin the world inside, Sarah felt lighter, buoyed by the promise of what they were creating together. What awaited them could blossom into something beautiful, a true transformation that neither riches nor insecurities could diminish. With their hands clasped together, they stepped through the door, ready to face whatever chaos lingered inside. The laughter, the stories, and the warmth of hope washed over her, wrapping them in a beautiful journey. There was uncertainty ahead, but now she embraced it, ready to connect with authenticity, loyalty, and above all love. In that moment, she realized she had been searching for someone who could see past the surface, someone who could understand her struggles and lift her up. And maybe, just maybe, that someone was standing right next to her. They entered the party side by side, fingers intertwined, hearts open. It felt like the beginning of something extraordinary, ready to unfold. The night was just starting, and they were both willing to honor the moment. And now, it's time to take action. If you love this story and want more like it, you need to subscribe immediately to the channel. Don't miss out on exclusive stories that will touch your heart. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and help others find this amazing journey. Tell me in the comments how this ending made you feel, and share this video instantly with at least 5 friends who need to see this beautiful transformation. This is the moment to show your support and spread the love. Don't wait not even one more second to share.